Hey, good morning, everybody. Welcome to the Wade and Carter Show live from the Adson Offer Studio, as we are every single Monday through Friday, 7 until 8. Glad you're all here. Thanks for joining us. On this pre-call Wednesday, Scott Tomko, Marvin Mickers, Bobby Leister on the podium this morning. Wade and Carter weather brought to you by the great folks at AT Deerlam Hay Feed and Ranch Services.
77 degrees in Victoria, Texas, heading to a high today of 91. Under mostly sunny skies, but a little 40% chance of rain this afternoon. So you might get a sun shower this afternoon, a South Texas shower that you're used to seeing around here around this time of year. I don't want to jinx anything, but it's been interesting that we're pretty much a full month into storm season without even so much as a tropical depression. So that's not bad. I'm not trying to challenge Mother Nature. I'm just saying it's not bad.
Yeah, we had that one little system that dumped some rain on us in June, but I think it became a tropical. Didn't it become a named storm?
I don't know.
Out in the Gulf? I don't know.
That's all politics anyway, right? They name the storm so they can seek federal funds and insurance claims and all that
fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah.
NATO summit going on in Turkey today. 2-day summit.
Is it called Ankara?
Ankara. That's where it's going to be, the 36th annual NATO summit.
I have to admit, I would not have known there were 32 members in the NATO alliance.
I agree with you. I did not know that.
32.
Either.
I did not know that.
Most of them trying to get their budgets up from 2% to 5% of gross domestic product by 2035.
By the way, absolutely 100% at the demand of Donald Trump. Everybody else was perfectly content for the United States to foot the bill for decades. And Donald Trump in his first term said, hey, look, you people need to start contributing a little bit more of your GDP to NATO. Defend yourselves. And that's consistent with something you pointed out this morning regarding the president's decision.
Yeah, he said that he is not going to send Tomahawk cruise missiles to Europe. So Europe's going to have to bring their own. And I guess England says that they will lead the project to build a long-range missile that would end NATO's reliance on U.S. weapons. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think it's good that NATO countries are figuring it out on their own, but I don't know what that does for the military-industrial complex in this country, and if that
probably puts another target on Donald Trump.
That's kind of what I'm thinking. Yep,
they've got no problem killing him to get to what they want. No. Somewhere there's a group of folks that are very upset that the president's saying, well, hey, let England go ahead and build their own Tomahawks. Very quickly, the founding members of NATO, 1949, Belgium, who's also pretty good at soccer, Canada, also good at soccer. Is there a coincidence here?
Maybe.
Denmark, don't know. France, Iceland, Italy, Luxembourg, Netherlands, Norway, Portugal, United Kingdom, and the United States. Now, later, folks that have been added include Greece, Turkey, Germany in 55. Interesting, because you're talking about just a decade after World War II. People said, oh, okay, let the Germans in.
Well, that's because East Germany was right there, right?
That's nice, though. Spain didn't join until 1982. Czech Republic, Hungary, Poland coming in the late 90s.
Yeah, the fallout from the fall of the Iron Curtain.
Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Romania, Slovakia, Slovenia, all the potato farmers, they all come in 2004. Albania and Croatia come in 2009. Montenegro, North Macedonia just in 2020, Finland in 23, and Sweden in 24.
Yeah, those other countries, the fallout from the splitting up of Yugoslavia in the 90s and 2000.
And Exxon. The splitting up of Exxon.
But interesting that the BBC has an interesting they show which countries are spending the most on NATO as of last year, the percentage of GDP. And most of the countries that border Russia
spend a little more, don't they?
Yeah,
they want that support.
They're pushing 5%. Poland at about 5%. I think Lithuania is there. Estonia and Latvia closer to 4%. Finland in that 3% range. Norway spending about 3.5%. But
I think what irks Trump is the UK, France, Spain, Italy, Turkey, all coming in between 2 and 2.4%.
Yeah.
So he wants them to double what they spend on NATO.
Well, every country in NATO last year achieved 2%, which
is progress,
which was the previous target for NATO members. And they say they're now committed to spending 3.5% of GDP by 2035. That is tough. I'm surprised because, Greece is struggling financially.
But I realize, it's, you could play that in the arms of an angel or whatever. To say 1.5% for you, it doesn't matter how your economy's doing if you're overtaken by another nation. Yeah. It seems to me that if you had to pay an extra 1.5 to be in the good graces of NATO, that you would be glad to do so. And it seems like you ought to be able to cut somewhere else to get that 1.5.
Well, and it's not all spending on NATO. It's defense spending. It's bolstering your own defense systems and troops and armed forces. So it's not all of it goes to NATO, but it's a commitment to NATO in case something were to happen. And then today you've got Zelensky meeting with the Secretary General of NATO, calling for NATO allies to help him out.
Yeah. Which he's been doing for like 5 years now.
Yeah.
Basically shaming people. You should give more.
Well, that came after the weekend when Russia launched a whole bunch of missiles and drones at Kiev, right? So now he wants
351 drones and 68 missiles. That's a bad day.
Yeah. NATO allies have reportedly provided about 99% of all military aid to Ukraine since the invasion began in 2022. So I don't know. I think these next 2 days will be interesting. They've got quite the welcome for Trump in Turkey as he rolls in. Good morning, Marina. Happy birthday.
It is uncanny, or that's not the right word. It's just difficult for me to comprehend how many places Trump seems to be at once. He's over here. He's got his hand in the FIFA salad. Then he's over there walking into a big introduction in Turkey, just like as if it's just right next door. The man is tireless. It's interesting.
Do we switch gears and go to the First State Bank of Louise World Cup update? U.S. loses 4-1 to Belgium. Belgium
really good at soccer.
They're pretty good.
What I noticed, you're somewhat of an aficionado, but as a
casual, a little bit, maybe more than a casual observer, but casual observer.
I think that if I had to use one word to describe Belgium, it would be defense. They did such a great job. What do you call it when you're down the box where the goalie is? I would just say, when you're down by the box, that's what I would call it. You're down by the box,
18-yard box.
We're trying to the U.S. is moving the ball and they're trying to move it here to the side, and then they want to kick it in so somebody can do a header or a Pele, some kind of kick or something. Bruce Lee. And the guys from Belgium just, nope, I'll take that ball.
Yeah.
Repeatedly. And I also noticed, did you see our goalie flail at that ball and tried to kick it? I'm like,
yeah, he should have committed to think about every sport, right? Any sport you play. Quarterback double pumps a throw, it's usually picked off or incomplete, right?
The second guessing throws it into the stands.
Tennis, if you want to volley and then you don't and you end up mishitting it, well, that's what happened yesterday when Freese decided not to kick the ball, kind of stutter stepped on it.
And then kick the dirt first, kick the ground, hit the big ball first.
And then
look on my golf swing.
Yeah, no kidding.
Did you see?
And then an easy goal, third goal with what about 65 minutes into the match.
And that
just deflated
you learn immediately.
The U.S. But, a lot of people are going, serves you right. Trump didn't get what he wanted. Pulisic got, I think, there's speculation he broke his foot when he tried to kick that ball and hit the
back of another guy's foot.
And then the U.S. was all up in arms. They wanted a foul. No foul there. That was good.
Yeah, he kicked the guy.
Yeah.
The guy didn't do anything to him.
And then Balogun, that's the guy that whose suspension was overturned.
Who's not a bad guy, didn't do anything wrong. I mean, I can't blame him for being the tip of the spear on this issue.
Ineffective.
Yeah, he didn't.
Ineffective yesterday. And the U.S. loses 4-1 and do not advance past the round of 16. And Belgium moves on. They'll play Spain, and Spain probably could win it all.
In the same breath that you say 4-1, it wasn't that bad a game. It really was that bad a game. Almost from the jump, Belgium, they scored to make it 1-0. The U.S. came back and scored, and 60 seconds later, Belgium scored again to make it 2-1. Then they got
put on some pressure at the end of the first half, and I thought, well, if they come out like that at the start of the second half, then they might have a chance, but they didn't. And then you had the gaff by the keeper, and that was basically the end of the U.S. World Cup run.
And which, by the way, was this season a success for the U.S. men's national team? I think absolutely a huge success. Number one, I think it probably brought a lot more American fans to the sport, and that was in large part to the games being held here in this country, where America is a rabid sports grasping country. Yeah. So I think the U.S. men's national team did a very solid check for the game of soccer in the United States. I think you'll see more and more kids playing soccer now.
And I think the same thing for Canada. Canada hosted part of this World Cup. And I think the disappointment when Canada, the U.S., and Mexico all host games for this World Cup, and not one of the three teams, Mexico, advanced past the round of 16. I think, I think the U.S. getting there would have been a bit of a hope and a dream. Canada coming in, lots of uncertainty. They'd never won a World Cup match. They'd never scored a goal in the World Cup. They'd never even had a tie game in the World Cup. So for them to get to the round of 32 and beyond, pretty impressive for Canadian soccer. But I think Mexico's the biggest disappointment not getting through
because
the quarterfinals.
Historically, they're pretty good.
Yeah.
Is the bracket set up in such a way, Ash, that France could play Spain in the final?
I think so, but I don't know.
If that's the case, I like France's chances of winning, and I would think they would play Spain. Now, if they have to play each other along the way, it's a toss-up. Ricky King says, what's up with the black uniforms? I wasn't certain if the U.S. uniform was a really, really dark blue and those guys were sweating through it.
It's a navy blue.
Yeah.
But it just,
it wasn't very exciting of a uniform.
No,
but it was better than like a President's Cup uniform or a Ryder Cup uniform. Sometimes the things the golfers wear are egregiously obnoxious.
But and Nike's kind of done this with the U.S. uniforms lately. They did it in hockey as well. They've gone kind of to a navy instead of that more royal blue or the blue that's on the flag, and I don't like it.
No, I agree.
And Canada wore black uniforms with some sort of like space motif. One uniform critic said it looked like Canada was doing a bunch of drywall work in their uniforms, and that's pretty much the image. But Canada should be red and white. They black, maybe black
with
shorts.
A big maple leaf on the front.
No, exactly. I mean, that's one thing that I think the World Cup misses is that opportunity to brand uniforms with the flag. And I know, well, we're going to put a number on the front because that's the rules. But you know what?
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't know who everybody is these days, especially at the World Cup, but
Scott Tomka says Argentina takes it all. So you know what? I'll go with our audience on that. France, Spain, and Argentina. One of them should win the World Cup. I haven't looked at the bracket.
Argentina plays Egypt
Okay,
today.
Argentina's
Switzerland
gonna
plays
be-
Colombia.
That doesn't matter. Switzerland and Colombia
No
don't
games
matter.
tomorrow. Quarterfinals, France plays Morocco.
France beats
Spain
Morocco.
plays Belgium on
Spain
Friday.
beats Belgium.
Norway plays England. And then I think you've still got
I think Norway beats England.
yeah, I think you've got the winners of the 2 games today that will play on Saturday. So yeah, I guess they could get there. Oh,
There's
here's
our
the
own
bracket. There we go. Let me see.
Junior samples.
Yep. Yeah, it looks like France is on the other side of the bracket. So no, France and Spain will play in the semis if they both win their quarterfinal matches.
That could be the game to watch. It'll be like watching the Cowboys and the 49ers back in the day.
I think Norway's got a good chance to get through.
Do you?
Yeah, they play England next.
They're awfully white.
But but I think the accomplishments of the U.S. soccer team overshadowed by Trump being a soccer mom.
Yeah.
And being a junior high parent and getting involved where he had no business getting involved. And you and I agree on this. Balogun wasn't a foul.
Although I did read a deal the other day, and I just don't know the rules to this level. It says that in FIFA that the landing of a flat or an open foot on somebody is a penalty. I had no problem with it being a penalty, but making it to me, they were both looking down pitch, and you have an incidental contact. It's not like he went, it's not like Messi stomping.
But I'll say
on
this:
guy.
as much as we chide soccer players for diving and acting, that everything, that every little injury or every little push or shove is
it's
akin to
because
being
of the
shot.
Subjectivity of the rules, right?
Yeah, they try to sell it, but at the same time, they're pretty good at making fouls look like non-fouls at the same time.
True.
They're pretty good at I mean, they're good with their feet. So they're pretty good at stomping on somebody and not making it look like they're stomping on somebody. But I don't believe, they're good at intent without showing intent or making it obvious.
But I didn't think Balogun, I thought that his deal was purely an accident.
Yeah, I don't think the
guy's foot not rolled, I don't think they would have done anything.
And I don't think it was red card worthy. Maybe a yellow, but
they reviewed
at the same time,
to get there.
And
then there were some questions about that official.
Yeah, he was under investigation a few years ago in Brazil for fixing games, but I think President Trump overstepped his bounds. He's like that junior high parent that never believes their kid can do any wrong and goes marching in and to the defense and yelling at the teacher because the kid didn't get an A. That's kind of how I feel about it.
So my disclaimer on what you just said is we don't know what the president said to the FIFA president. We don't know.
I mean, call him to say, hey, great tournament so far. We know that.
But the president, we forget that the president's Rolodex has a few more names in it than ours. And for him to say, this is no different than me going, well, fine, I'll just call Justin Marr and ask him. And a lot of people are like, oh, look at Carter's rushing in and calling the sheriff just because he's got his number. And I'm not disagreeing with you, except to say that, A, we don't know what Trump said to him. The president has come out and said, I didn't tell him to change it. We were having a conversation, and I said it was a shame that our player wasn't going to be able to play in the most important match maybe in our country's history. And the other thing that Trump pointed out was that the president of FIFA did not change the call. A committee reviewed and changed the call. Could not agree more with what I read from Clayton Helt, that when I watch soccer, I continually think about LeBron James flopping around on the NBA court and the WNBA, which is full of people flopping around. I think soccer, say compare it to lacrosse, it's a more genteel sport, right? It's more of an art form than a brawn form, but it's a contact sport.
There is a lot of contact in soccer. People don't realize that. A lot of concussions in soccer from hitting the ball repeatedly and heads banging when they go up to head a ball. It's a lot more physical than you give it credit for. Go watch a Dynamo game in Houston. You'll see the physical play, especially in the box. It does get physical.
And I think you're going to see their attendance go up. Scott Tomko says, I'm surprised the Dems haven't tried to impeach him for his comments. And I will add this. Had Barack Obama intervened on behalf of this player, you would not be hearing anything about it in the national media. There would be no outrage. There would be no outcry.
No, I think there would be. My stance would be the same. He's overstepping his bounds. He has no business calling up FIFA.
Well, you know, what's the use of being the most powerful guy on the planet if you can't make a phone call? Michelle Wilson-Hawkins says, I agree, Ash. I don't agree with people happy that the USA lost just because Donald Trump intervened. It's just another example of these certain people's hate for the president overshadowing their love for our country. And it's pathetic. I could not agree more, ma'am.
And I don't think it gave Belgium any extra motivation.
They didn't need it. They were a vastly superior squad.
And they did what they had to do yesterday. They filed a motion to try to get FIFA to stop or to reverse their call early in the morning. And so the politics played out.
And they were exploring all options, including withdrawing from the match. Come on. You got the best team out there. Go play.
They weren't going to do that.
No.
But anyway, U.S. loses, and there's no, as my prediction yesterday comes true, no North American teams left in the World Cup.
Watching the United States flail around yesterday, in spite of my great hope that they would play better, reminded me what it must feel like to be a Texas A&M fan. Folks, United States of America Foundation Repair, USA Foundation Repair, inviting you to seal those cracks. Shore up your home, especially if you're on pier and beam. It's easy. They come out, they jack it up, they put in a couple of shims. Bada bing, bada boom. We're having bratwurst for dinner. Get in there and get it done. Multiculturalism. 578 home. Call them Veracruz Restaurant. It's pre-call to Wednesday, Tuesday. Today's a great day for you to get in.
Enjoy the entire menu.
Absolutely. Everything but call to.
You don't have to do the cooking.
Get in. White Wing Materials. Whether you need fine sand, whether you're going to pour concrete, you need sand, you need aggregate, gravel. If you need clean topsoil from a local provider, reach out to White Wing Materials. You can find them on Facebook. You can find them. Soon we're going to give them, we've got a number. What was it?
361-920-SAND.
There you go.
So give them a call.
920-SAND. It's meant to be. The First State Bank of Louise soccer update brought to you by the friendliest bank anywhere. First State Bank of Louise inviting you to come in for free checking, free savings. The kids do it all with a debit card. They don't even get a statement. They get an online statement. It's easy. It's modern. It is the future. Reach out. Yeah, you know what, Greg Garcia? I'm gonna usurp our break there. Yeah. Mitch McConnell died yesterday. Did you know that?
No, I did not know.
Yeah.
That.
He's 147 years old, served in Congress since 1492. Yeah. Type it in. Mitch McConnell. That's what Donnie told me, that the dude died. Okay, maybe he didn't. There you go. McConnell's been hospitalized for 3 weeks. AIDS won't say why. There you go. Trump confidant says Mitch McConnell, 84, is brain dead. I got my news straight from my source, which was Donnie. And now we're up to, here's what the Washington Post says. 9 hours ago, Mitch McConnell had polio as a child and has long had difficulty climbing stairs. And okay. It has nothing to do with corn pop.
Nothing to do with anything.
Yeah.
He's served in Congress, no problem, for the last 80 million years of those.
Stephanie Connie says he's been missing for a while. John Anderson says, on a side note, which does he even need to say on a side note? Everything's on a side note.
Let me real quick, though, go back to the World Cup real quick.
Yep.
New York Times saying that Trump did call the FIFA chief and asked him to review the suspension.
Right.
And it was also the first time, according to the New York Post, since 1962 that FIFA has nullified a suspension for a red card during the World
Cup. They do it all the time during league play.
Because it doesn't matter.
Right, because it doesn't matter. John says, who initiated the concept of the awesome Wade and Carter show? Well, that would be me.
That would be me.
And how did you two pick each other as the host of the show?
Who else was going to be
there
the
was
host?
nobody else to do it.
us.
It was Wade and Carter. There's nobody else to do it.
Yeah. There's no other Wade. There's no other Carter.
Right. No, it all started
At Veracruz.
at Veracruz. We would go and sit and talk about sports and other things and just had an instant rapport. We met at a golf tournament, charity event.
Brent Anderson, I think.
I think your brother, John, got us together. And one thing led to another, and people started saying, the next time you guys are going to have lunch, give me a call. Like, it was fun. We'd love to sit and
We would hold court in that back room at Veracruz, and the whole place would be laughing, listening to our conversations. A bunch of eavesdroppers.
yeah, they were. And the next thing you know,
And then the show was
we're on the No Bull Network. Coming up in November, and I'm not, I guess sometimes we speak these things into being. We've been very blessed in that regard. I think we're going to have a 10-year anniversary party in November. Wow. It seems incredible that we've been on the air 10 years, but we have. I say we're on the air 10 years.
Torrin's right. Wade and Bales didn't have the same ring.
There you go.
Yeah. That's just bad radio. It'll never last. Remember that?
Yeah, that was the genius that was at KVIC.
Yeah. So
not Cindy. Cindy was sharp,
no,
but little known fact: the agency, the radio's owned 51% from some guy in San Antonio who doesn't listen to radio. Clearly, he said, "Oh, it's bad radio. It'll never last."
And to be honest, looking back, it was pretty bad.
It was pretty bad, but you got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Which brings me around full circle with the Atzenhofer studio and just how great Tommy Taylor's vision was. I remember we went in and visited with Tommy, and he said, well, what are y'all's analytics? And I'm like, how many listeners you got? We said, none. We don't have a show yet. We got no listeners.
But we will.
He's been there from the start, and we do.
Yep.
Junior Sam says, everybody stares at a car wreck. You're right. It's like the train's coming. The track is broken, but you can't look away.
Veracruz has been there from the beginning. USA Concrete Coatings has been there from the beginning.
Yeah.
Wentz Service has been there from the beginning. Allen's has been there from the beginning.
Yep. Monty Howard, you're right. I don't think McConnell is dead, but I'll go out on a limb and say he won't be back for the next Senate vote.
Apparently, I mean, a few reports, and I don't know if we trust the Hindustan Times, that he's on life support and almost dead. But
Torrin Bell says he remembers being on the radio with Ash 20 plus years ago on KVIC.
Yeah, that's when I first met Torrin.
Yeah. I used to listen to American Top 40 on KVIC.
Casey Kasem.
And you could go by, it actually came in just the things that make perfect sense, like Sirius XM radio. They used to send down, like on Thursdays, a pressed vinyl record of Casey Kasem's American Top 40.
Probably several vinyl records.
And it was. They would let you have them.
When they were done?
Yeah. After that week, you could go pick it up. And I had several sets. So I'm sure now they'd be quite valuable, but they're gone. But you could play it, and it was complete with commercials and everything.
Prior to the advent of satellite radio or satellite streaming of and then when CDs came along, they would send them in CD form.
Yeah.
Those sorts of things. Crazy. Running of the Bulls,
stupid tradition. Yeah. Pamplona, Spain.
Yeah.
12,000 crowd goers wearing white and waving red handkerchiefs.
Yeah. Beginning today, a bunch of idiots will run ahead of 6 bulls and 6 steers. And I don't know. And then everybody will flock to YouTube to see how many people are stomped and gored.
This year's celebration coincides with the 100th anniversary of the publication of Ernest Hemingway's The Sun Also Rises, which originally popularized the festival.
At least 16 people are believed to have died over the past century from the festivities, which they're probably which they don't want to go out and say it, but from being gored or trampled by bulls. Right?
Yeah, and probably 20 times that have been injured.
Yeah. And then
it's also like watching our program. You just watch it to see what's going to happen, who's going to get hurt.
And then they'll have an afternoon bullfight and kill one of the bulls, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, what else is going on? Texas Stock Exchange began trading yesterday in Dallas. It's a phased rollout. I think yesterday was just some brokers and dealers, banks and others trading test stocks. And I believe that more of this will ramp up through July, and then exchange traded funds will be available in the fall, corporate listings by the end of the year, and then early next year, the first IPOs. But
so will you be able to buy equity in
stocks
like you're betting on the S&P 500, you'll bet on the Texas 50?
Yep, that's the exchange traded funds. Yep. So, BlackRock, Citadel Securities, big investors, and apparently, remember the New York Stock Exchange. I don't remember the New York Stock Exchange, but I think earlier this year, NASDAQ opened up a branch here, and there's talk that they may actually move everything to Dallas because
why wouldn't they for the taxation issues?
Absolutely.
Who was it? Go up a little bit right there. Jordan Glasses. I've been listening pretty much from the beginning, and Jordan, we appreciate the whole.
Absolutely.
The glass is there's always a glass here, which is great.
At least one. Usually the whole gang.
Yeah.
Graham Platner.
This is on 5 Things, CNN.
Yeah,
but they're going to be favorable to Platner. So if they say something bad, it's bad.
Yeah. Jenny Rasico, who apparently dated Platner a few years ago. They had an on again, off again relationship, very stormy relationship. Apparently showed up drunk one night and he had sex with her against her will. So she's claiming she was raped. And I find it interesting that the allegations of sexual assault and sexual misconduct didn't derail him during the primaries, right?
Well, I think the Democrats were, I'm being conspiratorial here. The Democrats were for him, and now they've decided they are against him. He's probably not left enough for the Democratic Socialists. And I struggle with the taking advantage of a woman in any form is wrong. And it's a insidious crime. And yet it's also something that you're 100% guilty until you can prove yourself to be innocent. And Graham Platner is certainly not somebody that I want to be associated with. I don't like his politics. It's just almost too convenient to label him a rapist in the middle of all this. That's become quite in vogue. I listened to Ms. How do you pronounce it?
Rasico, I think.
Rasico. She said, and she sounded sincere, and this is what makes it dangerous. If she happens to be incorrect, if her recollection is off, it's very dangerous that you can be reflective and say, he came to my house in 2021. He was very drunk. We had been, but he didn't force his way into her home. One thing leads to another. She said, and this was what gave me some empathy as a dad. She said, I realized at a point that it was no longer my decision. What was going to happen was going to happen, and I had no say in it. That's inappropriate. Graham Platner, if involved at that level, should not have done that. But then she didn't file a police report. She didn't contact the authorities. She simply told him later, I want nothing more to do with you because I feel like you took advantage of me. Good for her. I think she was right to make that decision. I think he may be a terrible human being, but it's just awfully convenient, isn't it?
Well,
that Monday morning remorse.
Well, I don't even think it's that. I think, they have a week. He has a week for him to decide to drop out. And if he does so, apparently the laws in Maine allow him to be replaced on the ballot by July 27th. And I just, it wasn't, the Dems weren't mad enough when all these allegations came out in the primary. They could have nipped this in the bud earlier this spring. Instead, they doubled down and made him the candidate of choice in Maine.
Yeah. I want to play this. I got this from Lilo Arguelles over at the mothership. This will make you smile, give you a flashback if you've listened a long time.
The Wade and Carter Show is a paid programming, and KHMC Magic 95 assumes no responsibility for its content, and the Wade and Carter Show bears all responsibilities for their opinions and guests on their show.
That was magic back in the day when they felt obligated to have a disclaimer about the Wade and Carter Show. But I'll tell you something.
Platner has denied the allegations, by the way, and says that his campaign and he and his campaign are now going to take time to reflect on how to proceed with that campaign, which means the Dems are encouraging him to step aside, and they're all working together to find out who will replace him on the ballot. Read between the lines on that one.
Yeah, and you know that a rumor's never true until you deny it. And at the same time, is this the best the Dems can come up with? And I think the Dems are turning their back on this guy too, much like they did Eric Swalwell and others. Speaking of that, turning their back.
And there's part of the hard part with this too, is this seems to be the playbook of the Dems, right? They went after Kavanaugh with a similar story. They've gone after Swalwell with a similar story.
Because how are you going to defend yourself? The only other thing you could say is that the guy's a racist.
Well, Platner's one of those too. He had a Nazi tattoo.
It immediately makes you defensive.
But it didn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah. Very interesting.
So,
John Anderson, reflecting from 40 years ago, has the Armadillo Festival grown to a bigger celebration over the years than the local chili cookout? They've both gone the way of the dinosaur. Yeah.
It no longer is there.
Yeah.
The Supreme Court declining to block the state's App Store Accountability Act, which means that age verification laws can remain in force. I think there's some First Amendment challenges that'll be played out on this, but the law requires app stores to verify every user's age and to link minors' accounts to a parent and who must approve before each download or purchase. So,
Attorney General Ken Paxton, backed by 27 other state attorneys general, defended the law, saying Texas has not only the right, but the duty to protect children from the harms of our modern digital space. It is interesting that the internet blew up so quickly, and things like Meta and Facebook blew up so quickly that they came in basically unmonitored, that anything went on the internet. And it doesn't take many what ifs, because I would love to say, hey, look, parents, watch your own kids. When you start putting laws in place to govern things, you infringe upon typically the majority's civil liberties.
Yeah.
And anytime there's a crisis, the government is going to clamor to try to take your civil liberties. That's just the nature of government. It is what they do. You look no further than somebody that most of you voted for, George W. Bush. After 9/11, we need the ability to monitor bad people's cell phones because we got to find the terrorists. Well,
and then they turned around and used that court to spy on Donald J. Trump.
Absolutely. Who determines who bad people are? It sounds great. Old Uncle George, you can trust him. They're still doing that today. Chesnick Furniture, Chesnick and Love, inviting you to understand that Chestnut and Love, make your house a home. Reach out to Bobby Leon and his family for best American-made furniture, all types of
accoutrement
and bedding. Sealy Posturepedic, Tempur-Pedic.
They also have
Stearns and
appliances
Foster.
too. I don't think people realize that, but they sell a lot of appliances, American-made appliances. too.
Take years and years to pay. Palace Bingo, where friends meet friends. Palace Bingo inviting you into the L&L Grill, cheeseburgers, shrimp baskets, chicken tenders, pizza. They have specials all the time. The food is good. The entertainment is practically free, and you support 7 local charities when you play at Palace Bingo. It's all fun. We talked about wind services, but again, for all your electrical needs, right now is a great time to get an American-made Generac generator to power your entire home. In the event the power goes out, Wind Services is there to pick you up. The Vita Cafe. Go by today for some kind of a frou-frou wrap. They've got all kinds of gluten-free, preservative-free, healthy fare that's not going to cost you as much.
You can order to pick up. You can order delivery. They have a little market in there as well.
It's great.
Protein bowls, wraps, flatbreads. They've got a full coffee bar as well. We've had samples of that.
Go.
When Erica decides to get up early enough to bring us some.
Go
but really
there.
good. Yeah. Christy Thurman reminiscing on her Armadillo Festival lasted what? It wasn't around for long, was it?
No,
Just
but it was a
handful of
great
years?
concept. I can remember being a kid.
Armadillo
Armadillos,
confab,
they'll
right?
give you leprosy. She said her dad and uncle entered every year and had a beer can smashing booth alongside the chili cooking. Miss those days, she said.
I think what killed it, the city tried to actually take charge.
Get
of it.
involved.
Yeah, too many rules.
Yeah.
It
It was the Wild Wild West. Downtown Victoria was out of control.
Ken Paxton announcing a $13 million settlement with Walmart. Walmart sued after misrepresenting pay or allegations of misrepresenting pay in its Spark driver delivery program. Base pay incentives and customer tips apparently misrepresented. Half of the funds have already been distributed to the affected drivers. What happens to the other half of the funds? That's what I want to know.
Wow.
Where does that go?
I do not know that.
I don't either.
Half of the settlement's been paid out to Texan drivers. The settlement also requires Walmart to take measures to ensure drivers' pay is accurate and stays in line with the initial pay they were promised. Where
Walmart
did the
pulled
other
a
half
bait
go
and
to?
switch?
Paxton for Senate?
Walmart. We value the hard work and dedication of the drivers who deliver great service and products to our customers. We have issued payments to impacted drivers and continue to make additional payments as appropriate. We are continuously improving procedures to ensure fairness and transparency for drivers. So no apology for screwing up.
Right. Sounds like it was kind of a systemic deal. They
Yeah.
just did what they did.
Yeah.
Interesting.
I wonder who's paying for the city of Austin to clear 127 homeless camps.
Well, you are. Nearly 670,000 pounds of debris were removed.
Crazy.
Yeah. 127 sites. Wait, the city visited 127 sites at least once between May 11th and June 5th. 35 people connected to shelter, 9 people connected to services outside of shelter. The city said another 44 people declined shelter or services.
You don't even have 100 people living in these camps. I'm sure a few probably scattered when they knew the city was coming. 670,000 pounds
Yeah.
of stuff.
I'm going to lob something out here. I love to throw these wrinkles at you. Folks, let's just watch Ash's face for a minute.
Torn Bale says they will rebuild.
Right? Scott Tunker says, we're paying because we were caught. That sounds right.
Yeah.
That sounds exactly right. So I want you folks to start putting on your thinking caps about how the city should deal with our public transportation issue because we have one. Number one, I think the number one problem is nowhere near enough people ride or rely on the city's public service to justify the immense expense of the service. And you and I, for a short period of time, like we disagreed way back when the state was willing, because it was Highway 87, to do a 90-10 grant to put sidewalks all the way down Main Street. And you correctly stated, nobody walks in Victoria. There's nowhere to go on Main Street. So nobody's going to leave West High School and walk to work in downtown Victoria. All ended up being really good points. My deal was I looked at it and said, if it costs the city $1 million, you're getting the other $9 million from a grant. It's kind of like
Almost free.
buying something that doesn't work just because it's so cheap. I get that. And I was wrong. Looking back, we did not need that expense. I think that to a degree, that's where the city's public transportation falls. I don't know all the numbers yet, but I will. In part, it's funded by some grants. And as long as you have this many vehicles running or available, then you can get a grant.
It's kind of, is it just the fact that we have so many buses and you have to have so many buses to qualify for the grants?
I think we own 31.
It feels like, is this not just corporate welfare in another way, in another way, shape, or form? Because not everybody makes a bus that you can buy, right? I'd be curious. I don't know.
We own, I think, 31, and I think we have 5 that run daily. But you'll never, I challenge you while you're on the streets, when you see one of those little short buses, I challenge you to let me know if you see anything more ever than a driver and one passenger. There's never a group of people on the bus.
The only people I ever see at the bus shelters are people sleeping there.
True. And they've made that inconvenient. They've welded some little armrests onto the bench so you can't lay on the bench anymore, which I think is good.
They still do.
Right. Torrin Bell says, even my 11-year-old grandson says, I never see anyone at a bus stop. They're not.
I never see anyone walk across the street at that light they put up on Rio Grande right by the HEB either.
No. Because they didn't want people to be inconvenienced to walk down to the corner. Yeah. They wanted to be able to walk across right there. Yeah.
So
I just think that the transportation portion of this city, which is constantly reaching out for more funding, is a waste of funds.
I don't think the need
no
and the demand
for what
are there
for the city's portion of the expense. Remember that the bus has to have, yes, Linda, now that's solid. The buses are used a lot for medical transport. You need that. I have no problem. I'm saying you need it. I have no problem with the city providing that service to Victorians, but you don't need 31 buses to do that. You need 1 or 2, and they could operate as hotshot drivers. They could go get Aunt Mary, take her to the doctor, and take her home. And by the way, Aunt Mary can pay for that. We don't owe that to Mary. Sorry. The second thing is, for the city's portion, the hundreds of thousands of dollars, if not more, that the city pumps into this program, you could go and buy half a dozen Suburbans and wrap them to promote the city or upcoming events and provide the rides for free to anybody that needs a ride. Now, that would upset the Uber people. I mean, there's an apple cart here. You've got to be careful or you can topple it. But at the same time, I'm convinced that the city's transportation situation is an unnecessary money drain. So prepare your brain for that. We'll start working on that in the days ahead. By the way, if any of Jesus Garza's minions are listening, as we know they do every day, I apologize that they force you to listen. Feel free to reach out and educate me. Thanks.
Sales Tax Development Corp Board meets at 3:00 the fourth Monday of every month at the 700 Main Street Center.
The fourth Monday would be the 27th this month. And that's who they go to. They go to the Sales Tax Development Corp and say, oh, come on, we need some more money. The maintenance on these buses is going up. We had 47 riders in June. We need another $250,000. If it makes sense to you, let me know. In fact, if you feel so charitable, then pay for somebody's Uber and let's get rid of that service. Linda Chris says they do have bus passes. Who pays for those passes?
It just seems underutilized, and maybe I don't have all the data,
people
but
utilize it.
No, I agree.
Yeah, but we don't have all the facts, and when we do, we'll let you know. Hopefully, somebody from the city will reach out and go, "Hey, Carter, here's where you're wrong."
Trying to find their annual budget, and I don't see one on the website that
convenient
before past the year 2020 to 2021.
What did you see in 20 to 21? And why isn't that right on the website?
They've got them all there till then. $209,000 was given to transportation. I don't know if
that was from sales tax.
Yes.
Yeah, that's not their budget.
But I don't know if that's I don't know what transportation that means. It doesn't really say.
Yeah, that's how much they got over and above whatever grants.
That was in 2020, 2021. That was in the proposed budget. Prior to that, there was no money in the proposed budget, according to the previous 3 fiscal years.
Yeah.
So it did not become an expense until 2020, 2021.
And you needed that because during COVID, people needed a place to ride.
Yeah.
Torn Bill says, can you get the person in charge of the Golden Crescent Transit on the show? Golden Crescent Transit person, if you're listening, come forth, come hither. It would be great to have you on the program.
I think the city used to provide that money, not Sales Tax Corp.
Same pocket, still coming out of the same pocket. You and I pay taxes on things, and those funds are distributed by the Sales Tax Development Corp now.
I don't even think transit in the city has been around for 30 years yet. So
yeah. Scott Tunker says the city probably wouldn't allow that person to come on. They're an independent group. They just go in and lobby for money.
Linda Chris says medical buses ran at least half full to full when she worked in that.
Well, let's keep those.
Area.
Let's keep those 2 or 3 medical buses. But the idea that these buses drive around, take up a lane, stop at odd intervals all over the city all day long with nobody on them is a waste of money.
Could we not incorporate them somehow into VISD and maybe eliminate VISD's needs for as many school buses?
I don't know.
If they're out running the streets at 3:00 in the afternoon anyway,
let them drop some kids off,
pick up kids and take them home.
That's an intermingling of governmental agencies, and we can't do that. We have to keep the city over here and the county over there and the state up here and the feds over there, and never the 4 shall meet.
Other cities have done that.
There is no synergy. It won't work. We don't know who to give the credit to if we do that.
There's the bigger plan, right? Somebody would have to
Oh, if the city had allowed somebody with a vision towards synergy to somehow get in the mix. We've managed for 200 years without such.
Very interesting Axios poll that shows that Americans are not socializing as much as they used to.
It's a direct result of COVID.
Yeah. Well, and social media. Since 2005, daily socialization has dropped from 45 minutes to 35 minutes in 2025. 15 to 24-year-olds took the hardest hit. They used to spend an hour of face-to-face time with their friends. Now it's 35 minutes.
Well, because they're on TikTok,
Yep.
Instagram, Snapchat.
5 hours a day, according to the Axios survey. That same age group is on the interwebs 5
and you
hours
have
a
people
day.
deliver your food to your house. You have people deliver your groceries to your house.
Yeah.
It's very interesting. I've told my boys, be aware that there are billionaires that will continue to be made in this country. And the next generation of billionaires that are your age are going to be the people who can write a handwritten thank you note, the people who can look someone in the eye and say, "Hi, I'm Brent. Nice to meet you." They're going to be viewed as such outliers, such anomalies, that they're going to become wealthy. I've sat in rooms, I've been at restaurants where there's 4 people sitting at a table. They've ordered and they're all 4 on their phones and they're not talking to each other. This is families, dad, mom, 2 kids. They're all on their phones. A baby starts yapping, mom hands them the phone. You don't think the Chinese gobble that up? They love that. And then they control the content. Then you wonder why your kids are turds. That's why.
Researchers say closures of what used to be traditional hangout spots like libraries, bookstores, coffee shops,
Churches.
museums, all contributing to the lack of face-to-face socialization.
Yeah. What is the name of the busing system in Victoria?
Victoria Transit.
Victoria Transit. There you go.
So, interesting poll.
Andrew
for sure.
Alvarez wants to convert them to ice buses. Nice.
3 Romanian nationals. Is that today's code word for illegals from Romania?
Yeah.
Sentenced to 30 years in prison. They ran a credit card skimming operation in North Texas and around the Dallas area. I find it hard to believe that there wasn't somebody on the inside, because they managed to hide their skimmers on the pay terminals at CVS and Walgreens. And if I'm walking into those CVS here, probably easy to do, to be honest, because nobody's ever paying attention to
They
the
kind of like a
CVS.
self-checkout
Yeah.
thing.
But at the Walgreens, I don't know how you're getting those skimmers in the Walgreens. But apparently they were staying at an Airbnb in the Dallas area, and authorities there seized credit card making equipment, skimming devices, re-encoded credit cards that have been loaded with the stolen data.
Wow.
800 North Texas shoppers apparently is who they scammed information from at the CVS and Walgreens stores in July of 2025. 1 month. They were able to steal it all.
That's crazy.
And we're letting these people into our country. Be curious to know how they got here.
You have to thank Joe Biden. Joe Biden.
They all entered guilty pleas. One man got 30 years, he also got a 20-year sentence. And then the other 2 pled guilty and got 20 years apiece as well. And if it's happening in Dallas, it's probably happening here as well.
There you go, folks. Welcome to the top of the hour. Hope you have a great day today. Be safe on the roads. If you need Allen's Wrecker Service, dial 578-6300. Watch out for those postal vehicles. Hope you guys are safe. Enjoy your Tuesday, and Ash and I will be here mañana.
Bye, folks.
Bye.